Ah, shit. It's motherfucking story time. You ready? Are you ready? All right, check it out. So I wrote the story to go with this picture that I'm drawing right now, and yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm not a very great narrator, but fuck it. I'm just gonna go ahead and do what I gotta do. So this is going to be a story about this kid named Francis. Francis Dandy Wolf. I tried to pick a nerdy name, but Francis isn't really like a nerdy name. I think Dexter would have been an even nerdier name, but Francis Dandy Wolf just sounded really cool. So yeah, I guess cool and nerd is they don't really go together, but fuck it, right? Okay, so for the next few stories, I'm gonna be trying to like figure this shit out. I'm gonna try to figure out the whole format of what I'm gonna do. So yeah, I wrote this story, and I'm not sure if I'm gonna read it like I wrote it. Well, no, scratch that. I'm gonna read this story right now like I wrote it. You guys tell me afterwards what you think about it. All right, let's get this shit going. Okay, so the day didn't feel like any normal day for 17-year-old Francis Dandywolf. It felt ominously clear as he walked to school. Ever since the day of his father. Oh no, I'm sorry. Let's back up. Ever since the death of his father and two older brothers. See, I'm barely even able to read the story that I wrote. I'm not a very good narrator. All right. So anyway, all right. So yeah, ever since the death of his father and two older brothers 8 years ago, the black cloud that hovered over his life seemed to go gray. It felt like the sky could open up at any moment, and that powerful thing, that creating force of energy that the faithful would whisper to in their times of darkness, it felt like it would finally come through the heavens to light the way, like some type of hand of light. And that hand of light would reach through empty space and point out the path through life. Anybody here ever watch Bleach? Just imagine like one of those Hecko. I mean, what was it? The shit. Well, it was like the first time Ichigo like kind of saw that big ass fucking soul eater, whatever it was called. Can't remember, but you remember that first time where it just like opened up the sky and it walked through? Just imagine like a hand like that, just like that, kind of like entering into our space and doing his thing. Okay, now, so for Francis, a little direction is what he craved. Direction out of the perfect pain of his home life and the constant tornado of shit and torment he put up with in school. Now, although school offered brief freedom from the twisted world of living with his mother, it was still a prison where the weak were picked on and picked apart by the strong day in, day out, in both class and around campus. He knew school was his only escape from both his prisons and into his sanctuary of engineering school. Okay, so now ever since he was young, Francis was really good with numbers and he loved to tinker. So he's always like recognized as a nerd for that. Now, all he ever dreamed of was building and engineering. Just a little while longer is what he'd always say to himself. Just a little longer, and he'd be off to college to start his own life. Free from the constant pushing for perfection from his broken mom, and free from constantly being punched in the gut by all the people swimming in the bullshit that was high school. Now, after half his family died, something inside of his mom broke, and she was like demanding perfection from him, saying things like, "It's all on you, Francis, and you have to succeed. You will study and you will be the pride of this family. You are our legacy and you will not fail us." Some serious type of shit. That's a lot of shit to be like put on your shoulders, right? Put on the shoulders of a kid. But anyway, There was no room for failure. Even a perfect score on a 100% scale for a test meant he wasn't trying hard enough. He would beg his teachers for extra credit questions and to be, just to be added to his tests, or just more work, extra credit work to boost his grade points in order to please his mom. She demanded more, always demanding more. And it was like corporal punishment if it was a reward was for maintaining like a perfect GPA score. Imagine that, right? And anything less would lead him back into what his mother called the study room. He would gladly have taken a beating than to go back there. Say it was a room, it was more like a room of torture and sleep deprivation. A narrow walk-in closet where the walls were lined with protruding prism glass and a school desk and chair in the center. And inside each prism were high-intensity LED lights and sensors. And these sensors would detect his irises and brighten when they weren't detected for 180 seconds or a little bit over 2 minutes or something like that, right? So they would get so bright that his eyelids may as well have been made of plastic sheeting. They did nothing. She'd force him in there to study whenever his grades would slip under 100%. And sometimes he'd be in there for weeks, especially during testing weeks, only to be let out to go to school or when his grades improved. And today was like his progress report day. So this was the day that he'd be offered some release from all of his studies because he knew he'd be kicking ass in school. So, getting his grades up and all that other shit. But anyway, it'd be like out of one prison and then basically into another. So as he arrived at school, a warm breeze hit his sleep-deprived face, and he took a deep breath as the grip of that ominous feeling grew tighter around his mind. And this place of education and social resentment, this is just what school is. It's like a place where names like nerd, loser, geek, weirdo, and others were given to him and kids just like him. So he walked up the stairs and into the building that held his locker to exchange his books. That's when he heard them. The rugby players. Their names were Jeff Sow and Andrew Bohr. You'll understand why. Okay, so, these were his well-known tormentors and his bullies. And these two kids they've been friends ever since elementary school. And they're friends and bullies to all the nerds, but mostly to Francis. All right, so picking on him, taking his lunch and lunch money whenever he had it. They would lock him in the janitor tool closet every so often. They would dunk his head in a freshly pissed in toilet or randomly punch him in the gut and chest when they passed him in the halls. Francis used to try to ignore them whenever they walked towards and past his locker. He used to stick his head just a little further into the locker, like an ostrich sticking its head in the sand, in some kind of if I can't see you, you can't see me fashion, right? But today was a different day. The ominous feeling that washed over him was all he could focus on. The clarity he felt throughout the morning put him in an autopilot. It was kind of imagine yourself if you work, you're in this kind of robot mode, most of the day, right? And you're just doing things that you've done as a routine. And it's kind of like driving that same route home, day in, day out, day after day. And after a long day at work, you just don't think about it anymore. You just do. And you just get in your car, drive, and then bam, you're at home. You're like, oh damn, I got here pretty quick, right? So it's kind of like that, So, and those were just his movements throughout that day. So he pulls his textbook from his locker in a half zombified state, closing it, turning the combination several times to secure it. He takes a step back and he backs right into Jeff. Big mistake, right? All right, so Jeff, in return, slaps his books out of his hands. And then followed by a thunderous uppercut to the breadbasket by Andrew. And that shot just drops him to his knees. He's choking and spitting up bile. That's how hard he punched him. Just gasping for air. And he's reaching for his fallen scattered text as his two bullies, his two well-known bullies, walked away laughing, calling him a loser and freak. All of a sudden, like a voice has just started screaming and echoing in his mind. It was clear as a bell. It told him what he needed to do. It was like that hand of light that I was talking about earlier. It pointed out his path through life, but only in the form of words. It said, "You know what, Francis? You are the hunter. You can be the predator, and you're going to lay waste to all your prey." So from that moment on, he knew exactly what he needed to do. He needed to make every person who used strength and fear to stomp all over those who were too passive and weak to defend themselves. He needed to make them fear him. And he would. He would make every one of those bullies, every single one of them that he encountered, he would make them feel as weak and as helpless as they made their victims feel. He would be the predator. He'd be the predator to every bully. In fact, he'd just be a bully predator. Okay, so that's pretty much the end of that story. Gosh, it went a little longer than it. I think that's pretty cool though. It went about 11 minutes. I think that's pretty good time. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and end it here. And this is just like a sample story. This is just to go with that picture. So you know what, you guys, go ahead and tell me what you thought about that. I didn't actually go off of the way that I wrote it. I kind of just, I said everything that I wrote, but I add a little bit more. And, I just kind of embellished it a little bit. So just to make it a little bit more fun and a little bit more interesting for me and for you, So I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you enjoyed the story. I hope you enjoyed the drawing. It's a pencil drawing. Next time I'm probably going to do a little bit of inking. I don't know. But we're going to see how this goes. Okay? I'm going to try to vamp this story up into like vamp this story. I'm going to try to revamp this whole channel into like a storytelling page, a storytelling channel. Just stories that I make up. Yeah, so if you noticed any of my other stuff, I'm just going to be, from the past, all my other videos, I'm going to leave them up, because they're pretty cool fan art. And I'm kind of overdoing fan art for the most part, but I'm going to be really working towards doing my own stuff now. So I hope you enjoy it, and I hope you guys find something interesting in it, and maybe get a break away from things that are just always being done, and you get something new. But yeah, anyway, that's the end. Thank you for joining me. I'm going to change the name to like Craze Storytime. So I hope you enjoyed this story, and I will catch you all next time. Feel free to like, share, comment, subscribe, all that other stuff. All right, peace out.